Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
We're doing a spoiler ep.
We are.
We are doing a spoiler ep. You want to know why we're doing a spoiler ep? Special guest flies out from the East Coast. Guess what? We're going to go see a movie.
Just to do the spoiler
Just
ep.
to do the spoiler ep.
That's all the only
Pretty
reason
impressive.
I'm
And it was right up his alley, too.
It was perfect. So, ladies and gentlemen, Ric Meyers is
here. Hi,
Yeah.
everybody.
And he knows the star of the movie that we were actually going to be speaking about.
That very, very well. Yes, indeed.
And so
First met him in 1978,
Wow.
that's when you first met Jackie Chan.
right after his second big hit, Drunken Monkey in a Tiger's Eye, a.k.a. Drunken Master.
Nice.
And I'll always remember I met him at his office at Golden Harvest in Hong Kong. And it took me a long time to get there because Jackie always keeps you waiting. And at that time, not a lot of Guaylo, which is foreign devil, or in my case, Mo Guaylo, which is hairy foreign devil, was really into that stuff. In fact, the head of the studio, Raymond Chow, said to me, "Oh, Americans only like chop suey." And I went, "They only know chop suey. You give them authentic Chinese food, they'll want it." And
It's just weird to picture Jackie Chan in an office.
Oh, the
like
office
behind
was,
a desk.
He wasn't behind a desk. Believe me, he wasn't behind the desk. But he was having an argument with his producer at the time I walked in. I'm standing over in the
Was
corner.
it Stanley Tong?
No, it was not. Stanley is a good, amazing stuntman and a great guy. He's the guy who did that jump in Rumble in the Bronx, you know, back in those days when they weren't admitting that Jackie didn't do all his stunts. And Stanley's awesome, but Stanley's not his producer. These are unknown people.
Right.
And they're having an argument, and he looks at me and says, "You tell him, who should direct me in America?" And I went, "Nobody directs you better than you." And he was my friend from ever.
Yeah.
After that, he took me by the shoulder and brought me over to the producer and pointed at the producer and said, "Tell him that." And I told him that.
In Chinese.
No, actually English. But Jackie always likes to keep what languages he can speak secret.
Really?
Because he likes to, yeah. For years he pretended he didn't know Mandarin. But he knew Mandarin extremely well. And
Just
now,
because he grew up in, where did he grow up? Hong Kong?
he grew up everywhere. Hong Kong, yeah. Hong Kong was the main place he grew up. And that was Cantonese at the time. And now that Jackie his manager is China, he knows Mandarin and hardly speaks Cantonese. He's not really welcome in Hong Kong anymore.
Oh,
Because he came out against the students, not against the students. As usual with Jackie, he said, "Let's be moderate. Let's everybody should act humanly." When the government was trying to stop the students in Hong Kong from demonstrating for democracy.
was this
for freedom.
Occupy Hong Kong in 2014? Was this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jackie said, "Everybody chill," but Mommy China was his manager, is his manager. And so Hong Kong, he's no longer has an office in Hong Kong.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, this...
Up
Everybody-
on the mic.
Everybody up
get
on the
up on the
mics.
mics.
Oh, I
Let's
can
do
do
it.
that.
Come on.
all right, so
Mic
this,
it up.
This is a spoiler app. For anybody, this is your first time, we will be revealing the ending, key elements of the movie.
We usually start with the ending.
We usually
on
start with
these.
the ending. So if you haven't seen The Foreigner, this is what we're going to do. The Foreigner with Jackie Chan and Pierce Brosnan. That's the movie we were talking about.
I do my own podcast, Professor Rick's Action Film Autopsy, and I have a theme song that works perfectly here. You ready?
Sure.
It's sung to the tune of "I'm a Dumb Guy," which is a song I wrote for myself, and it goes, "There'll be spoilers, there'll be spoilers, there'll be spoilers, there'll be spoilers, there'll be spoilers. We want these films to be better, so there will be spoilers." Thank you, everybody.
Little musical interlude.
We got two
Yeah.
spoiler
we have
themes.
we have an official link over bridge to my podcast.
So now we actually saw this. We had a little CFN screening. You were out of town, but Neil, Rick, and I went to see The Foreigner on Saturday night. Not in a food theater.
I went to a food theater last night.
Disappointed me.
I love this movie even more because I was in a food
But-
theater. It's the first time I'd been to one in a while.
I'll tell you, it was a it was a fun time at the movies. It
Yep.
was it was one of those things where I want to see Jackie Chan and more of this.
And
More
Pierce
of these types of
Brosnan.
movies, and Pierce Brosnan,
And Martin Campbell, the director.
So
I'm
okay.
a fan of all three.
Yes. The thing that surprised me a little bit was that I thought Jackie Chan would be in it more. Like, it is called The Foreigner.
Yeah,
Based
the
on the
original.
And
yeah,
really,
yeah.
you watch this movie, I'm like, it's kind of Pierce Brosnan's movie, and
Yep.
with Jackie Chan supporting.
Yep.
I think one of my favorite parts was when they kept referring to him as the Chinaman. Like, it just felt like 70s Western.
Well, that was the book it was based on.
Yeah.
And that was the name of the
based on-
book. Yeah, the Chinaman.
Well, the thing that was interesting, so if you start with the ending of the movie, I was like, oh, this is Jackie Chan's Jack Reacher or John Wick. Like, this is going to be a series of movies based on the Chinaman books or something.
I wish I knew more about how this one came together. With Jackie, as usual, Jackie cannot stop himself. Every couple of years, he always says, I'm retiring. And now he just openly admits, no, I'm gonna ride this baby until I'm done.
And he's, what, 63?
He's 63, and Pierce Brosnan is 64.
Right.
And Martin Campbell is 74.
The thing that was
Martin
so,
Campbell is 74?
Yeah.
It's his first movie since Green Lantern.
No, it's not his first. But
First
it
movie,
is. it
no,
is
first
most
movie
notable.
directed by Mark Campbell in 6 years. His previous film was Green Lantern.
Oh, I thought he did something in between. Okay.
Not according to the IMDb.
All right, then they must be right. Well, I know the backstory of Green Lantern, and Martin Campbell, who is a wonderful gentleman, an amazing television director, born in New Zealand, lived in England, did Riley Aikes' Spies and Edge of Darkness, and if you haven't seen Edge of Darkness, go look it up. Unarguably, he's certainly made the best Pierce Brosnan James Bond movie, which was GoldenEye.
Right.
And he probably has made the best James Bond movie of all time, Casino Royale. And he was so ignominiously blamed and actively thrown under the bus by Warner's after Green Lantern. It was shameful. I can assure you the result that what came out as Green Lantern was not Martin Campbell's fault in any way, shape, or form.
All studio meddling?
Same with all studio meddling.
Yeah.
Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Suicide
We've
Squad.
heard similar things from Mark, who wrote it.
Yeah.
And he's like, look, if you want to see the original script, it's online somewhere.
Right.
So,
And
it's
the
somewhere.
fact of the matter is Martin Campbell is a great director, very tasteful, excellent. And if you'll remember from the action sequences, which were choreographed by Jackie and his team, in The Foreigner, Martin Campbell is very good at filming action.
well, I mean, he's done Casino Royale. He's done
GoldenEye. James Bond was never better at martial arts than in those two movies.
It's
Never better.
it's grounded action,
Yeah.
which is good.
GoldenEye is the last time he worked with Pierce Brosnan. But I want to talk. So the ending, basically, Jackie Chan kills everybody, kills
Yes.
all of these rogue IRA folks.
He kills the terrorists before the team going in to kill the terrorists goes in.
And the team going in, wait for him.
yeah.
yeah,
They have set up this entire building with all these booby traps like it's Spectre, like the end of Spectre. And they're just, the Chinaman has come to the door. Let's all stop. Let's all stop and let him kill everybody.
and then so he literally goes back to his Chinese restaurant. And it was very touching. There's that woman that clearly loves him,
right.
and he's shut off emotionally because his wife and his kids are all dead, and he kind of opens up to her at that last moment. And then the head cop
Yep.
is like, they're like, we know where the Chinaman is, and he's like, let him go. And I was just like, oh, because you're gonna for next episode,
Yeah,
you're gonna
use it.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Okay, let him have a child with that woman.
No.
Right.
Then let's kill the child,
Yes. No,
and then he'll be angry again.
he's not going to get reprimanded. He's going to get a job offer.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And the other thing that was pretty amazing was, I thought, when he shows up, he's like, he's gonna kill Pierce Brosnan. Nope. Fries him. Just sends
Makes
the
him
photo of
hit
him.
send.
Yeah, hits send.
Makes Pierce Brosnan do it.
Right.
Yeah.
He took a picture of Pierce Brosnan with the betrayer, with this
his
woman,
mistress, yeah.
mistress who's been playing all the sides, but she's a terrorist, an IRA terrorist. And the big trick, of course, is that Pierce Brosnan unleashed all that.
Right.
And so
Now-
Jackie in this movie is Freddy Krueger, Mike Myers. He is everywhere at all times. There's no door or window that can defeat him.
They certainly can't find him in the forest.
They can't find him in the forest. He's sitting out
He's
in the
outside
forest
the
for hours.
Yeah, he's outside the farmhouse, and they
Listening
have
to podcasts.
no idea where he is.
and they can't find him. And then, but every time, it almost becomes funny. Every time Pierce Brosnan turns around, there he is.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I loved this film.
Oh, good.
I and here's what I liked about it. It was really in the beginning, Jackie Chan's acting as this grief-stricken father was like, wow, it was really intense. It was really palpable. I loved Pierce Brosnan with the Irish.
I don't think they've done better performances, either of them.
I mean,
I think this is their best performance.
It was because I went into this thinking it was going to be like a Jack Reacher, John Wick, just sort of, hokey lines and, ass kicking and okay, great.
And like some quippy kind of things back and forth.
No, it was like this.
It was a drama with some action.
Exactly.
It didn't have a ton of action in it.
And that's what I liked about it. I preferred the first act of the movie where Jackie Chan doesn't kick anyone's ass in the first act and maybe even into the second act where
he's a traumatized restaurant owner.
He's a traumatized restaurant owner, but then when
with a set of special skills.
When he starts MacGyvering up bombs, I love that. I love that 10 times better than him kicking ass in the stairwell, which was cool.
Yeah.
Because it's Jackie Chan. But
very reminiscent of Casino Royale's stairway battle.
And then you also look at like the backstory. Now, Rick, you were telling me that a lot of that backstory got added later, which I find interesting because it also did get a little muddy. Like, okay, these special forces trained by the United States, but then there's a boat of pirates. Did he lose other kids? Yeah. Like it got a little muddy. But all we know is he's a dead up for revenge. Okay, well,
here's the deal.
What did you think happened? Like on the pirate ship? Because it got a little muddy for me.
He just said, he made it very clear. Well, I lost kids when we were trying to escape, and then he shows that article that says Thai pirates kill. I said, oh, that's how his. He said I had 2 other daughters that died, and my wife died.
No, the wife died in childbirth with the third child?
Daughter.
With the third daughter.
Third daughter, okay.
Who's
I got.
Blown up.
Who got blown up in the bomb.
Blown up on this one. So you see, and then when he shows that article, when he starts that scene where he goes from grief to revenge, and he's burning his family photos. When that article is like Thai pirates, I was like, oh, that's how they were escaping China, and the Thai pirates killed his daughters, and then. That explained it.
But then the wife survived, and then she died in childbirth with the
and it led to this.
Right,
Here's the deal: a friend of mine, I'm going to give him a shout out, Jackie Chan fan #1, who's now in the business, and he's off in I think Japan today. He saw this movie as long as 2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, it might have been 18 months, but he saw it a while back, and he
Same
texted
version?
me. No.
Ah.
He texted me and said, "Just saw the rough cut of The Foreigner. It's a stinker." Jackie just is presented in a certain way and then becomes Liam Neeson, and I think they all realized that, so they did some reshoots and added more backstory. Because and I'm not sure which scenes that you're referring to, like the burning of I think that might have been an added scene. The flashbacks were an added scene, and I think that's why it was murky, because they didn't have Jackie never has a lot of time.
Right.
He'll come in for 18 hours and then let's try to do this. But they added a lot of backstory, because in the original cut, he just suddenly was a Chinaman who could do all this amazing stuff because he was a Chinaman or because he was Jackie Chan, not because he had a backstory. They gave him a backstory, which really ironed it up.
Is the backstory in the book?
I haven't read the book and I haven't researched the book, so I'll put it on my supplementals for my podcast. Which I have a supplementals on my podcast to tell you all the things that I forget or don't know during the recording. But I also wanted to say something, that the last time I had serious conversations, one-on-one conversations with Jackie, was in 2001. And we discussed his crying, because Jackie doesn't feel natural doing drama. He likes making it humorous because his real life was incredibly tragic and incredibly dramatic. So he doesn't like to do it. He doesn't like to be reminded in his work, but he also wants to stretch as a filmmaker and as a participant. So at that time, he did a movie called New Police Story, which was part of his Police Story series. And in that, he was the head of a police unit, and he took every opportunity to cry, and not just cry, but sob. He was just so overly dramatic. And I said, look, I'm going to send you a link to $1 Million Baby, the Clint Eastwood movie. Watch how Clint Eastwood does it. If you remember that movie, Clint almost cries, almost cries, almost cries, almost cries, and finally at the end he cries. And I said, when you're crying all the time, it no longer has any effect. You're just a crybaby. And I was very delighted to see that in this movie. Even the scene where he's holding his child, he's not sobbing. He's still keeping it in. He's grieving, but he's not being overly demonstrative. which had been his dramatic problem before. And here I think this is the beginning of the new career if he wants it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because I was like, wow, there's some
I can see a sequel with this character.
Absolutely.
But I could absolutely see a sequel with this character, and they obviously were setting us up for one. But even separate from that, just him doing dramatic roles that don't involve martial arts, like don't involve him fighting. Like,
he's tried that a couple of times, and he always caves at the last minute because he gets nervous. He gets worried. He really wants to satisfy his audience. And, of course, you guys saw at the Comic-Con Kung Fu Extravaganza his previous film to this, Kung Fu Yoga.
Yes,
which is
I saw the entire thing.
This is not just 180 degrees from this; it's 360 degrees from this.
They're literally night and day.
Right.
I mean, and Kung Fu Yoga couldn't even figure out which language you wanted to shoot the film in.
Right.
It kept going all
India,
over the place.
everything else. Yeah, of course. But the other
Chinese,
great thing about
English.
He played his age for one of the first times ever. Jackie
Right.
in this movie. He still didn't let his hair go gray, though.
No,
he didn't let his hair go
You
gray.
could definitely tell there's some dyeing going on.
He's usually red. He's usually kind of dark red in real life. So he couldn't quite make that jump, but eventually he will.
But it's one of the things I really liked about the movie was the attention to the drama, which was unexpected, which was good. I mean, I liked the movie. It definitely had some flaws, but you go in with the right attitude for a movie like this. I'm like, okay, this was a pleasant surprise, really. And I think one of the things that I really liked was the kind of parallel track of Pierce Brosnan and Jackie Chan were like, well, we're both trying to get to the bottom of this bombings, and I'm thinking
one of them is lying.
Well, that's but that doesn't get revealed till much later in the film. So there's this kind of like red herring, like, well, they're kind of on the same side. They're kind of they both want justice and they want to catch these terrorists. So it's interesting that they're butting heads. There's got to be another reason, and sure enough,
there is.
It gets revealed. But it was a good reveal. I thought it was a good.
And those scenes between the two of them,
Oh,
in his office before Brosnan admitted that he was culpable,
right,
were really
set the stuff in
nicely
motion.
done.
Yeah,
really nicely done.
I like how Pierce Brosnan was setting himself up to be the nice terrorist. Well, like, I told you to blow up a bank, not
that's right.
people like
not
no.
innocent people.
Yeah.
well, that was the thing, and I think that was a testament to a decent script and also Pierce Brosnan's acting ability that he could convey. It was very believable that he was like, I don't know what's going on. Is some rogue branch of the IRA? How are they using our code words? What's
right?
That scene where he calls the IRA guys into the office, the boardroom.
Right.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
When he goes, look, we've all spit blood, and everything they're saying, it's all these whiskeyed up Irishmen. It's just like
That might be Pierce Brosnan's real voice.
Yeah, probably.
For the first time ever, because he was born in Ireland, he's Irish. And his performance, that's the thing, if you love both men equally, I love James Bond, I love Jackie Chan, I love Martin Campbell, because I really respect his filmmaking ability. And this really does harken back to his English television work, because this was a complex espionage story and intelligence story about the IRA and the English. It wasn't.
It really felt like that was the focus of the film,
really
whereas Jackie Chan's story was almost like supporting more than the primary.
Well, that was what was so cool.
Absolutely true.
Well, you got a quick little history lesson over the piece that has happened over the last 19 years and how it's been brokered, and then how it could come undone. I mean, it was great. When you saw,
you also see those, like, remember the Jack Ryan movies? You saw some of that in there too, like the history of the
history of the espionage story or the political story.
Right. It was accurate. Like, well, he worked for Sinn Féin, and and he used to be an angry guy. And what did it get us? And then you see his sort of angling of, I think we got to give. We got to get these guys. What's the word he used to the guys that get them off the list or whatever? He says that to the British woman who's like,
they were on like a
he's trying to get he's trying to get pardons for his group. He has they revealed that there are factions within the IRA. That was the plan all along.
Right.
It turns out that he was again culpable. But the thing I loved about it, and I understood the reason of using Jackie Chan, because Martin Campbell is a New Zealander who lived in England and did a lot of English television work. And were you guys as impressed and or shocked or taken aback as I was when the denouement happens, not the denouement, the climax, I guess, when the British come in and just in front of you execute in cold blood a young woman.
Oh yeah, that
Right.
you saw the way the British interrogated
Oh yeah.
this IRA woman, and you see, I think it was
They stomped on her wound. Then they used electrodes.
they tortured her,
Right, with electricity.
and once they got
Big
the
bull clips too.
yeah, and when they got her information, take her out.
Executed.
In your face. In other words, the bull clips on her naughty bits was not seen.
Right.
But her flat out, it was done in full shot like Jackie Chan would do it, from head to toe, and with a submachine gun without any remorse.
Well, that was the thing too. That was so.
I was definitely, I wasn't expecting that.
No.
I thought, like, well, this is the one surviving terrorist.
They'll take her in, and they'll
yeah,
use her as bargaining chip. Nope.
Right.
Well, that was what I mean. That's sort of
perforator.
It's interesting how they did this, and maybe that comes from Martin Campbell, or maybe that comes from the author in the book. The book was written by Stephen Leather,
Right.
and
But it was Campbell's choice to show it the way he did.
right, it was Campbell's choice to show it the way he did, and also you had those other scenes of. You're talking to the Brits. Like on the Irish side, it was like if you sell out to those guys,
Right.
you're not allowed back in Belfast. Like
Right.
you're
Yeah.
done. And you see how
No snitching.
no stitching. Well, you see that you see why, and it was the crux of the argument of we can't lose this peace accord because you saw this is what it was like. We're brutal terrorists that will kill civilians, and the British government's like
They're
well,
going to
guess-
send troops into our streets.
Yeah,
Right.
they're going to send troops into our streets, and they're going to put a bullet in your head. They're
Right.
gonna, you use a nice,
can't-
pretty Irish girl. Guess what? She's going to get tortured, and then they're going to take
we
her
can't
out.
go back to the way things were.
No,
Right.
and you
Right.
saw that when Jackie Chan first gets into Belfast. There's that mural that's a real one that shows prepare for peace but ready for war.
Right.
And it shows like
Yeah.
soldiers like, okay, we want peace because that's been, and this is the thing of most battles. I mean, you could go to Palestine and Israel, and both sides claim, well, you killed our guy, so I had to kill your guy, and that just how that escalates, and you see how tenuous and how flimsy even a 19-year-old peace is.
It's a circle of violence.
Oh yeah.
Well, look what's happening here. In other words, the Civil War never ended. We're still. I want to do a T-shirt that says,
No, America's perfect, Rick. There's no
Yeah.
problems here.
I don't know what you're
Everything's
talking
good.
about.
Everything's good. Sweep it under the rug. Don't deal with it. There's no gun issue or mental
want a-
illness or racism
I
or
want a T-shirt
inequities
that
of
says,
wealth.
I want a T-shirt that says "Doomed to repeat it."
Yeah.
Because if you look at history at all. But I want to also jump back to the movie by saying I was impressed. A lot of it is a drama, beautifully filmed drama, but a lot of it is an expensive film. How did they do that shot of the double-decker bus exploding on the London Bridge?
It was a $35 million budget. And it's funny. Here's the stat we got. So in February 16, 2 reports were made to the London Metropolitan Police about a terrorist attack made on the Lambeth Bridge after many local citizens were not told about a controlled stunt explosion on a double-decker bus for the
That
film.
explains that.
So,
And he was shooting it from like Big Ben.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
It's just this awesome wide shot.
So you also would probably add it to the confusion. You didn't have a bunch of cameras right around the bus when it blew
Right,
up, so
right.
because they were probably so far back, so it probably looked like an actual explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was an actual.
Well, yeah, with
Stunt
the-
explosion, controlled stunt
but they
explosion.
weren't. Yeah,
They
I
did a
was very
bunch of
impressed.
explosions.
like
Yeah.
generally,
big
you know,
cast too.
Yeah.
Big
yeah.
cast.
Generally, if you see like a stunt or an explosion with a giant HD, like one of those giant lights next to it, or the cameras, like okay, well, yeah, they're filming a movie.
Yeah.
But if you're that far back and all you see is the explosion, I'm surprised they didn't get more.
Especially in London that
reports.
has terrorist
Yeah.
attacks, you know.
Right.
So the thing I want to go into a little bit about the relationship of Pierce Brosnan's wife and his nephew. What the
I
hell
know,
was
that,
that?
was
that
right
was
out of the
like-
book. So sick.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm guessing it's right out of the book, having not read the book. But my God,
I
yeah.
can't imagine that would be something you would add. Like, here's what this book is missing.
That's right.
Is she,
We need something
is
for
she
this.
his second wife, and then, or
They don't go into detail. I'm assuming she's.
We
the
don't
first.
know.
I'm assuming on the basis of what they showed in the movie that they met through their work in the IRA, And she's just like another one because he has all his
she's
in
still-
quotes friends there.
Right. She's still. We find
She's
it's-
still mad.
Yeah.
It's revealed, and that was a great reveal that she's, and there's those scenes where she's like, the old Liam would do something, you know, like,
Right.
and so she's mad that he let her brother get killed without revenge, but that was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, really needed that explained.
And she takes revenge by having an affair with his nephew.
And also as being part of the conspiracy too.
Right, and he's playing both sides.
Which doesn't sit well with the nephew.
No.
No.
Once the nephew found out he was being used,
That was like
He kills her.
Yeah, pretty much
kills her
point
in
blank.
cold blood.
In
Yes.
cold blood, knocks
Doesn't
on her-
perforate her the way the other girl is perforated, but he just shoots her once with a silenced pistol.
Yes.
Yep.
The thing too so that was brutal, and then when you find out that Pierce Brosnan's wife was a part of the kind of conspiracy.
Yes. And his mistress. I'm like, come on, who are you sleeping with that wasn't part of this? Jesus.
Well, everybody in his circle. I mean,
Yeah.
the conversation he had with his so-called partner, who was his main betrayer, in the room where
Right.
he's shooting him in both legs.
Right.
Pierce Brosnan is shooting his friend, in quotes, friend, because he found out they had a plan that Pierce Brosnan again was trying to make moderate.
Right.
But their attitude was, no, we want to destroy all English. We want to blow up everybody. The final terrorist plot was
On
switching
an
out a
airplane.
reporter's computer battery with a bomb so he could blow up all these people going to peace talks.
Right.
But so they're not being moderate. He's trying
That was
desperately
the
to be
ticking
moderate.
clock.
Yes.
Yes.
That's right. And I was wondering how, and that scene was amazing too at the airport.
Yeah.
Right.
Where the cops are shouting the reporter's name. The reporter is wearing headphones,
Right.
much like these.
Yes.
And he doesn't hear his name at first.
Yeah. It's like a reporter with old school headphones. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing,
not
too, that
earbuds.
Those were Beats, baby.
Yeah.
Those were Apple Beats.
That was great.
Did
and then
noise canceling ones?
Yeah.
You can't hear police shouting.
Yeah, screaming. And then the cop comes running back. You know it's going to go off at 9, I think.
Sir, is this your laptop?
Yeah. And they had the clock. Somebody
I
had
have
a watch. and
headphones,
they had
so
a
I don't
clock.
have to hear people's bullshit and
Yeah.
airport terms.
Yeah,
I don't want to listen to it.
And him running with that bomb and finally throwing it onto a walkway
The gateway,
going to a
yeah.
plane.
Gateway, yeah.
That was an amazing.
That was an
sequence,
amazing
too.
because he's bumbling through, and I was literally like,
Because there's no time to disarm it.
Yeah, a huge group of extras.
Right.
The cop is screaming, "Get out of the way! Get out of the way!" And they're trying to get out of the way.
Now-
it's really impressive.
And this is where you see the difference between budgets. Like this was, a lot of that budget was up on the screen. Like
Oh,
there
yeah.
wasn't a star that took 30 million of that,
Right.
money,
Yep.
of that. So it's interesting to see like when a movie like that is like if, let's say Warner Brothers had made this movie, it probably would have been like a $70-80 million budget or something like that when you add in all the above the line costs
Of course.
and stuff. So
yeah, and Harvey Weinstein's hush money or whatever you had figured
Yeah.
into the budget.
that's
so,
it would have been more than that.
But like, I want to go into that too. So the reporter was such an interesting character. He's just this sort of lummox,
right, just like all reporters.
like
sure.
all reporters, and then
I mean, they refer to him as like a mule.
is it?
Yeah.
And then you see the ruthlessness of these IRA terrorists, in that this woman who you're first introduced to her as just the mistress.
Right.
She's just the mistress to the first scene, really. That is one of the first scenes. Is she's with Pierce Brosnan. It's immediately revealed that, oh, he's married. She's a mistress. That's all you know. And then when you find out that she just and they reveal it quite well, because all of a sudden she says with Barway, is that the mistress girl?
Right.
And now
I had a
she's
problem with that actually.
she's drinking and she's so hitting on this
Reporter.
this
yeah.
reporter,
Right.
and then you see her after they have sex. She flips
Flips the
the battery or whatever. She does this thing
yeah.
really quickly, and then she comes back to the terror cell and is like, "Oh, I had to sleep with them. It was disgusting."
Yeah.
Right.
And you're just like, "Wow." So this
Mm-hmm.
is like, old school
infiltration,
Cold War.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very clear these guys do not want peace.
No,
Right.
They want to kill.
right.
They want to kill. They want to blow up every British person they
Or
can.
was that- or was
innocent
every-
or guilty.
Or it was also every season of 24 that happened.
That was another thing when they first introduced that Lummox reporter character. It was they could have done that in his editor's office. They did it in the entire newspaper office, filled with extras. When I was watching old B movies back from on Turner Classic Movies on the 40s, I always noticed that some of the movies, like the Saint movies, the Falcon movies, they always try to keep it super small. And so whenever I see a movie where suddenly, oh, look at this huge cast in this big room with all this air, and that's what this movie was like for me, because I was expecting a modest film. But this was a class act.
Well, let's go back to, since you said you did have a problem with her, because when I said I was confused at first, then I was like, oh, the mistress is now...
Yeah, is that another girl?
Yeah.
Who looks like her? Another brunette or whatever?
Oh, right. All Irish look alike. That's really...
No, all humans look alike. Look at the size of my glasses. And speaking of that, I don't feel Pierce Brosnan has looked as good as he... ever since the Remington Steele days. I thought he looked great in this movie.
Man, he was so good, and also...
Do an old Bond movie now.
Oh, man, I know. I would love to see, like...
An aged Bond.
An aged Bond battling his demons.
Yeah.
You know.
And he's grown into it, because he was too young and callow even then. He should have played the Saint, not James Bond.
It was really...
But now he can play James Bond.
This was such a great role for him.
Yeah.
Because he's playing both sides. And then...
Showing real passion.
And I'll tell you, a
he's not
movie like
faking
this,
anything.
it could have easily just gone to, like, other action actors that would have just phoned it in. Like, I really felt like Pierce Brosnan, no, I'm going to...
Could have gone to Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
And Liam Neeson has the talent, by the way. I mean, Liam
He's
Neeson
also
could have played
Irish.
it, and also Irish. And he was magnificent. I saw him on Broadway like decades and decades ago before his Taken period.
But I don't
He's
think
an
anyone.
awesome actor.
I don't think anyone phoned it in on this movie. Like everyone took it a little more seriously than I was expecting. To
But
be
I
honest.
think
I attribute that to Campbell.
Well, I attribute it to Campbell, but also I think the story from the book and how they adapted it, because I think if you're Pierce Brosnan, if you're an Irishman, and you wanted the way they're handling this story and the IRA and the history of it and the 19 years of peace, I think. I mean, I'm just guessing. Obviously, don't know the man, but I'm guessing Pierce Brosnan went, "Oh, this deserves."
Yeah.
He probably He probably heard about the movie and went, whatever, and then read the script and went, "Oh, this is a real thing. We're getting into the history of this,
Right.
Yeah.
And how somebody could screw it up."
Because that was a big part of the film.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of the film.
I have to research to find it, because Brosnan is a producer now as well. He produced his television
Right.
show, The Sun. And I noticed that there were at least 3 Chinese companies involved in the production of this.
And also, Jackie Chan was a producer as well.
Yes. Well,
So-
that's... If
Doesn't
China
he
is a
produce-
producer, Jackie is a producer.
Yeah. Doesn't he produce all his movies now? Isn't
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
But China does too.
Right.
The hilarious thing about Jackie's latest movies is that even before Jackie's name comes up on the screen, there are 45 seconds of credits for people who are like distribution manager. Those are all Chinese government officials.
Wow.
Oh, right.
So, yeah.
Gatekeepers.
It was the production companies were SR Media, STX Entertainment, The Fizz, Arthur Sarkisian Productions, Entertainer Production Company,
Everybody put in $5 million.
Wade Brothers, Quadam Studios, Wanda Media Co. Literally, what
I
is
know
that,
Wanda.
8 names?
Yeah, 8 names, and I'm curious as one of them is Pierce, because Pierce doesn't usually get involved unless he's also a producer.
Right.
But I think he may have found this one so important, and one that it was close to his heart that he wanted to do it.
Now, it's interesting. Nick Cassavetes was offered to direct this movie. Like, I wonder what happened
Wow,
there.
that would have been an interesting... I'm happy that that didn't happen in a way, because I think unfairly of me that a lot of young directors would try to be flashy. And one of the things I really liked about this movie is that in
It wasn't
quotes,
flashy.
It wasn't flashy. It was a solid, tasteful, smart, beautiful
It was grounded.
movie. Yeah.
There's a quote that I really liked that Jackie Chan has in the movie. Politicians and terrorists are just the two ends of the same snake. What's the difference? And then Pierce Brosnan says, well, one bites and the other doesn't.
Yeah.
The other one sucks.
Well, that was, yeah. Well, that was the thing, too, I liked, was the progression of taking Jackie Chan seriously. He first comes into the there's like, oh, this Mr. Kwan won't go away.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, sir. And
He's
they
got
give
a
him all this
box.
lip
He's
service.
got a bag of groceries.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just nothing but groceries, and then he makes that crazy bomb in the
Right.
bathroom
Mm-hmm. With his groceries.
with his groceries and the half of the cigarette. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is gonna be
He
awesome.
MacGyvered it.
Yeah, and then he does the thing with the car, and he's like, and that's the whole movie is just one bleeding Chinaman took you all out. You know what I mean? Like
160. They kept on saying 61-year-old.
yeah, 61-year-old Chinaman knocked all 4 of you blokes out. Like that was
Yeah.
the whole movie was that.
And I just, one of the things, I really respected Jackie's acting in this, because when he says, he comes in and tries to give him money. Give me the names of the people who killed my daughter.
Right.
And when that didn't happen, I'm looking forward to seeing this again because I want to just see his eyes change.
Because that happened, he went to the British police first,
Right.
and just offered them a bunch of money
Right.
to give them the
When
names.
they didn't immediately react. And he just give me the names. That's all I want.
That's all I want.
And then when he doesn't give them the names, his eyes go blank. Then he goes into the bathroom and makes the bomb.
Yeah. And he keeps doing that. And then they find
Keeps upping the ante.
up in the ante, and then they see the guy's about to start the car, and he sees the wire going into the gas tank. Get out of there. And there's just a little sheet of paper that just says names.
Names.
Right.
I was just like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is so great.
And then when he finally sends the nephew, the fixer, after him,
Right.
it literally was like, this I kind of like too. Is like, look, try to kill him, but if you can't, give him the names.
Yeah, I know, I love that. So he's got him tied up, and he gives
Yeah.
him the names, and
Yeah.
he's like, okay. Then
Okay. All
right.
Jackie unties
Yep,
him.
that's it.
That's
All right.
another really thing. That's something
Our
else I really
transaction
like.
has been completed.
Yeah.
That's what I really like about this movie, because usually, all too often in these movies, the Pierce Brosnan character is very arrogant and naive to the point where he's not practical about it. He's not realistic about it. Right. Here, when the guy said, "No way that Chinaman's getting in," and Pierce going, "Don't count on that." He's probably already
He's
here.
like, when they find out who he is.
You already drugged my dog.
Yeah, that's right. The dog scene. In our what happened at your theater with the dog scene? Because in our theater, there were gasps in the audience when they thought the dog was dead.
Yeah. That's what elicits the response, not people getting killed when an animal gets like
is
a
even
maybe dead.
faking death.
America doesn't have weird values.
And I love Jackie's delivery of the line, "He's not dead.
Yeah, it's
I just drugged him."
dog,
drugged him.
Yeah.
dog is fine.
Yeah, dog is fine.
There was so much. Yeah, that was again, that was what made it more realistic or more believable or more dramatic versus just a, Pierce Brosnan playing a two-dimensional bad guy.
Right.
He did go, all right, because Pierce Brosnan's character was an IRA operative. He was out there shooting and killing, and he says several times, we've all buried a lot of people. We've all seen a lot of blood. So I don't, and that's the thing I love when they're all talking to these guys and everyone's complaining. He's like, we've all lost people. But then,
And
so
we've all killed people.
We've all killed people. So he's like, so it's believable that he's like, okay, I've dealt with some formidable
Let's all say it all together now. Formidable
men.
Good man.
So when I recognize one, I don't fuck around anymore.
Right.
And he's like, Jackie Chan is one of these.
Well, what I like too is like, well, if you give them the names, because really at the end of the day, I kind of need these terrorists killed anyway.
Right.
Whether it's going to be by the quote Chinaman or from the British government.
To the
either
very,
way.
very end, Pierce Brosnan was trying to make lemonade.
Right.
Every single thing that was thrown in front of him, he went, how can I make my plot worse? Worth. Not see, now I got the formidable problem.
Formidable.
How do I make my plot work?
Abominable.
How am I going? Because he really saw his plan, which was fair and not killing everybody plan. Some people would die, but not innocent people. That was his idea. And he was trying to make that happen and get his guys off all the way to the end.
Yeah.
But then
spiraled out of control.
When Jackie shows up with the picture and he tells Pierce to do the deed, to send it out onto the internet, so Pierce does it.
All right, yep, now
He's
you're
a
finished.
practical man.
Because he knows that he probably would kill him if he didn't.
Yeah, any other movie, they would have had a fight. Like I think you already pointed that
Right.
out. They would have been a big death match.
Now, to be fair, I would have liked to have seen a Pierce Brosnan Jackie Chan throwdown.
If with Martin Campbell directing,
Yeah.
go back and look at the martial arts in GoldenEye.
Yeah.
And that Bond has never looked better.
Yeah,
again.
James Bond versus Jackie Chan. I would have liked to have seen that.
Now that you said that, now I hate the movie.
The other character that I really
wish it
liked,
happened.
and I wish we would have gotten more of her, was the British, not prime
PM.
Minister?
Well, she's
She's
or head of
cabinet
security
man.
or whatever.
Yeah, she's high up.
Yeah.
Right.
Whoever she is, high. That scene.
It could be MI6,
Yeah,
it's
whatever.
never really exactly.
Minister of the something important.
she's a government official. She's not MI6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's an elected official of sorts that Pierce brought. When she calls And she's in a room full of guys, and she's on the speakerphone. She's like, "We have information. We've got you." And he's like, and she's like, "So from now on,
We
own you. When I say jump,
You say where?
Right.
you know." And it's just, and it was like very clear. And also, you saw that so British, Irish, IRA, Brit government dislike of like, you don't answer to your IRA buddies anymore. You answer to me.
And she knew what she was doing with that because that's his death sentence.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
that's his death sentence. And it's nobody was an idiot in this.
No, that was the thing. It was so great. Yeah, she knew exactly what she was. She's like, I could arrest him, but I need him. He's valuable, and now I own him. And if he fucks with me, I'll turn him over to his IRA guys, and they'll eat him for lunch.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't any Fear the Walking
No one-
Dead
actually,
characters.
no
We're
one
like,
was
well,
a
that's
hero.
no, there's zombies over there. Stop going over there.
The Walking Dead. There was no.
Really.
Jackie was the nominal hero. Everybody else was guilty. Jackie was doing it honestly, but at the same time, Jackie wasn't really a hero either. I mean, he did some. Oh, and that scene where he cauterizes his wound, he gets shot, and he uses a hot.
I've
iron of
seen. I
some
mean,
sort.
Rambo's done it. It's been
Oh,
going
yeah,
on for
there's-
centuries.
there-
I love that.
there
No
were-
matter what,
Yeah.
anytime a guy just has to fix his own wound with a hot knife.
I mean, there was definitely some first blood in that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at like he's in the forest, he's making traps,
But it's
he's
old
cauterizing
Rambo.
his wound.
It's
Yeah,
old
the
Rambo.
and
yep,
and
yep.
he's got the scars on his body.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Like-
and I was very proud of Jackie for allowing himself to look really ugly, because his face was a mess.
And the thing that going back to what we talked about at the top of the episode of why I hope we all hope we see him do more dramatic stuff was he conveyed so much emotion with very little like movement or out of his face. It's just
He
and
contained himself.
He contained himself, but that's to me the power of a great movie actor.
Yeah.
Because it's a close up, because it's a 30-foot screen. You don't have to do big facial gestures or big tears or whatever. And so when you convey that correctly, it's like, oh, it's so powerful. You just saw decades of pain in this man's face.
Exactly. He's playing
he's
his
jumping
age
through a
finally.
roof.
He's finally
Yeah.
playing his age.
Well-
Even in Kung Fu Yoga, he wasn't playing his age.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, he
for
was
sure.
pretending he was still 40 or 30 or 20.
Right, right. Yeah, that for sure. It was like, oh, he's still Indiana Jones. I'm like,
Right.
even
Not
in the
really,
last
no.
Indiana Jones was showing some age.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was
And then
really
the thing
smart.
at the end, when the woman is like happy to see him. I mean, God, the way I want to go back to again, she had a very small part. But when she's
That's
worried,
the restaurant
the restaurant
girl.
The woman in the
Woman,
restaurant
yeah.
who, as you pointed out, clearly loves him.
clearly loves him.
Yeah.
She seemed like she was playing older than her normal age. She seemed like she had like old wig.
I get
Yeah.
to be thank you, Graham. I get to be racist again.
Yeah.
You cannot tell. I had there were these two great dragon kung fu people who worked with Miman Qigong Center in Taiwan, who I'm affiliated with, and I could have sworn they were 13. They were 31.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I know.
No way to know.
That could be it as well.
Yeah.
But
they did put makeup on her.
They
They graded her hair up and they gave her lines. and
I
stuff.
felt like that's probably a 32-year-old actress they're trying to make look 48.
Yeah,
So it doesn't look creepy with,
with
60s Jackie
Yeah.
Chan.
which was wise of them.
Yeah.
But I loved you saw immediately how much she cared about him so quickly, and then when
No words either. Very few words.
Very few words. And when he's just like, resigned, like, I got to do this. And she's like, no. That scene where she puts her hand on the window
Yeah.
of the truck and he puts his hand on her hand and then slowly takes it off. It was just like,
Takes her hand off.
Turks take her hand off.
Yeah.
And she's just like, oh, it was so because you saw the pain underneath his resolution.
Right.
Like he was like,
It's like, I'm doing this. You have to let me go.
God, I appreciate how much you like. It was conveyed with nothing, with no words. It was just like he was saying, I appreciate how much you care for me. You're a
Exactly.
wonderful person, but
It
my-
seems I'm being cruel, but I'm actually being kind.
Yeah.
I'm being kind.
Yeah.
I got to put a bomb in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
Several
need
bathrooms.
You need
Yes.
you need to be far away from me.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And then so when he comes back and the way she hugs him, it's just like oh. And then when they
And then he responds.
he finally
Yeah.
responds to her and is like, he all
in a
of
Jackie way.
the pain that he's been enduring.
I got to tell you, I'm glad they addressed at the end after that because, he's back. He's going to live happily ever after. What's going on? It's like, well, no, there's 1,000 British agents who have him on camera for what's going on.
And are watching him from that moment.
Watching him from that moment on. And but they did address it. It was like, we actually said, no, we owe him a debt. He kind of did their job for them.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, Graham, it definitely sets it up as this character for, a next movie.
And I want to tell all the other filmmakers, I mean, for all the under the bus throwing Martin Campbell suffered after Green Lantern.
6 years of it, apparently.
This is how you set up a sequel. This is how you set up a sequel.
It was a great sequel to set
You don't, and Jackie Chan will return with James Bond. And,
yeah.
It was subtle, and if it happens, because he's not going to live happily ever after. He's going to live unhappily ever after, but maybe allowing himself to love again.
And it also still had an ending. It wasn't one of those movies where gosh, now we have to have a sequel because we got half a story.
Yes. They cut back to the wife who rises up. Oh, the bullet just grazed my skull. I'm going to take revenge.
Yeah, I think I was actually, I agree with you, Rick. I was excited. Because usually when they do those things in my head, I'm always like, oh, sequel, here we go.
That's right.
And then I was like, oh, they're going to do more of these? All right.
Yeah.
We hope they're going to do more
And
of
he's
these.
going to be in love? This is great. But they just, if that's the case, then she's the one with the bullseye on her head. That's who they're going to kill next is the wife, the woman.
But again, if they do a sequel, and I hope Martin Campbell's involved and Pierce is involved. Pierce is not dead yet. I hope they do it as tastefully and as smartly as they do this one, which means she won't be the one with on the head. Maybe the whole movie will be Jackie protecting her.
Right, or we find out she's a secret badass.
No. There's one thing I hate is that when somebody gets, I call it the Friday the 13th Part 2 effect. When someone survives an entire movie and in the first 30 seconds of the second one they kill her cruelly and hatefully, I hate that.
I know.
Aliens 3.
Covenant.
Remember?
Alien 3. Yeah,
Remember Alien 3? After Aliens 2, what was the name of the commander that survived and just
the commander. I know who played him. Michael Bain. And also the girl and the cast.
Yeah. So,
Corporal Hicks.
Corporal Hicks. Yeah.
Thank you, Aaron.
At the beginning of Aliens 3, he's like, oh yeah, they died.
Yeah.
That was how they explained it.
Newt, the little girl.
And
it's like
died.
the beginning of Kevin Can Wait for the second season, where they got rid of his wife with a half of a sentence, so Leah Remini could come on. Oh yeah, she's dead.
Well,
she died a year ago.
Alien 3 has a lot of problems.
Alien
That's
Covenant
one
had
of
a
the
lot
many.
problems. But we're not here to talk about that.
No, not yet.
So,
darn you!
I don't know if there's anything else. So the actress, I want to say this real quick. The actress that played Maggie is a Irish actress named Charlie Murphy.
Maggie was the betrayer? Who's Maggie?
Maggie was she was the
wife
IRA
of
operative.
the operative.
operative.
Technically, both betrayers.
Yeah.
Everybody's traitor in this film.
But she's in a movie that I have not seen, but it's called 71, and I've heard good things about it. It's in 1971, and it relates to the story. A young and disoriented British soldier is accidentally abandoned by his unit following a riot in the deadly streets of Belfast. So it's about actual battles and stuff like that. So I've heard really good things about that
71,
film. Yeah. And it relates to the story that we just talked about, and I would also say that all of those other actors, they all seemed very skilled. All of the no names, right? So you just had Jackie and Pierce Brosnan for the most. That was it. But everything else, the woman who played his wife,
all the supporting were good.
the supporting was fantastic.
No one stuck out and went, "Oh, how did do?"
I believe that if anyone,
whose producer friend is that?
Right. Yeah, exactly. If anyone is a bad actor in England, I think they're executed. There are no bad actors in England. It's the way they teach acting in England. It really is.
Well,
it's the accent covers a lot of stuff.
Orla Brady is the woman that plays Pierce Brosnan's wife.
Right. Vengeful wife.
Actually,
and she was in that series Into the Badlands.
We should ask that question of the fans. Who's the worst British actor working right now?
Oh, gosh. Good luck with that. A lot of great actors are in bad movies.
Nope, has to be a bad British actor. Who's a bad British actor?
I'm sure people will pick out things like Jude Law and stuff, but he's not a bad actor. Sometimes he does bad projects. And usually They never.
Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, my.
We're letting him off the hook for that one?
Yeah.
No, we're not letting. Actually, yes. If you allow yourself to be seen as a bad actor because you don't like the project, that is bad acting. Because the British actors usually don't do that. They will always play it. Dame Judy never phones it in.
No.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that is our.
I think
spoiler
that's it.
wrap.
That's our The Foreigner spoiler. That was really, folks, go out and see it if you like. I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I have to say it was a pleasant surprise. It was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, for sure.
Certain movies don't really make the transition to television or laptop or plane. This one will. This one will be enjoyable in every format.
Yeah.
I agree. That's a great stand. I mean, I was glad I saw it on the big screen because a lot of those close-up acting moments that we spoke of, the one-on-one scenes between like Jackie and Pierce Brosnan, we said, or the one-on-one scenes between the actresses Leah Williams, who plays the Catherine Davies. She's the high-up British official.
Right.
Her scenes, all the one-on-one scenes, they're great. And like you say, they would you can watch it on your phone or iPad, and it would still translate.
I mean, my only real complaint about the movie was that, because you go in, you kind of know what you're expecting. It was that I wanted to see more Jackie Chan. I thought it was more Pierce Brosnan's movie than Jackie Chan's movie, whereas he was more supporting. But it's weird. After I saw the movie, I can't see it working any other way.
Interesting.
It was like now that I watched it, I'm like, okay, this wasn't what I expected, but it works.
For the first time too, I must say, I noticed stuntmen with Jackie. It's the first time I was like, oh, there's a stuntman.
There is a wonderful video that's going around on social media of Jackie and Martin Campbell talking about the main fight scene in the house in the house in Belfast that Jackie stays in. And I would recommend it. You can see both the quality of Jackie as well as the quality of Martin Campbell. And I'm just so happy that Martin Campbell's back, baby. I also love the fact that reporters are talking to him again because he was kind of blackballed, thrown under the bus and blackballed. But here, people are asking him, why haven't you done another James Bond movie? You were so great at that. And he goes, they've asked me to direct every James Bond movie since GoldenEye, and I don't want to repeat myself.
Right.
Maybe when Daniel Craig leaves, if they ask me again to reintroduce a new James Bond, then maybe I'll come back.
Right.
And I think that's extremely honorable.
But Daniel Craig's not leaving, is he?
Never, I don't think. I don't think he's ever leaving when they're giving him that kind of money. And we can get into a whole James Bond spoiler thing. That's another
story.
But it was wonderful that after Die Another Day, the last Pierce Brosnan, I will say that Pierce Brosnan had the worst luck of any James Bond actor.
For sure.
GoldenEye was his only really good movie, and the stuff that went on behind the scenes of his subsequent James Bond movies should not happen to Roger Moore, not even now.
Right.
I mean, it's just tragic how much trouble they had through no fault of his own, and that they shit-canned him. While Timothy Dalton left, but Pierce wanted to do more, and they wouldn't let him.
We must
so I'm
have
glad
scared
he's
the
back,
living daylights out of him.
And on that note, Blofeld, you should have played Blofeld.
But so Rick, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, I have my Professor Rick's Action Film Autopsy, which is at actionfilmautopsy.com. And I have my Facebook page and the Action Film Autopsy Facebook page. And I have someone with the same name as me, or same first name as me, a guy named Richard Jeffries, has a new book coming out in December, which is being given away on Goodreads. It's called Arachnosaur. And it is going to be followed up by another book by this Richard Jeffries character called Blood Demons. And I've read those books repeatedly for some reason, and I really like them. So if you like a good action military thriller with lots of creepy crawlies and blood and explosions and an extremely smart hero with an extremely dumb sidekick, take a look for Arachnosaur and Blood Demons by Richard Jeffries.
All right. Well, guys, that's
our spoiler wrap.
We want to thank FrightfullyUninformed.com, one of our Patreon sponsors.
Yay!
Who put his that's what you get at the $50 level. You get to you get mentioned on every episode, and it is a podcast discussing
classic horror movies to figure out horror movie fandom.
Ooh, perfect connection.
It's a fantastic.
They were also at the festival too.
Yeah, he was at the festival.
Yep.
And so check that out.
And before you guys do your sign off, I like to do my sign off, which is
Are you going to sing another song?
No. Actually, it's a callback one, which is I'm going to say something, and then you immediately reply with chew your food, Rick. You say chew your food, Rick. So here's my sign off, and then you reply with chew your food, Rick, which is use your blinkers, jackass.
Chew
your food, Rick.
My name's Graham Elwood.
And I'm Chris Mancini, and as always, remember,
Han shot first.
No, didn't
after
Solo
he chewed
didn't
his
Solo
food.
shoot first?
Mhm,
Solo shoot first?
Shot first! With kitten heads across the